Hi, and welcome to my channel. Today's video is going to be a little different from my usual videos on engineering. I wanted to talk about KDP, Kindle Digital Publishing. Like you have probably seen dozens of maybe hundreds of YouTube videos on how to make thousands of dollars each month on KDP. Well, I've been using KDP for almost 7 years. Did I make thousands of dollars per month? No. If you follow my advice on this video, would you make thousands of dollars a month? There's no guarantees. Kindle is a very difficult and time-consuming process, and it takes a lot of effort. It's not easy. However, this is my experience, and take it for what it's worth. And as they say, your mileage may vary. But I'm going to show you what I did. I'm going to talk about the experiences I've had, and they may help you on KDP. It's my impression that many people think KDP is an easy way to get rich quick, and I don't think it's that. So I want to give you the unvarnished truth. I want to tell you about the good, the bad, and the ugly, and let me start at the beginning. I always liked writing, and I've written some technical papers when I was working before I retired. But I never had any time to write anything else, really. I started writing KDP, using KDP in 2017 after my retirement. I was looking for something I felt that I would be comfortable writing about, something that I knew about, and something other people would be interested in. So I kept thinking, what could I write about that I had some knowledge about and that someone might actually want to read? First thing that came to mind was I thought about my experiences with medical procedures that I've had in the past. So the first one I published was in 2017, and I made it part of my experience books. I've had several medical procedures, and I thought it would be interesting if I had a reference of someone who actually went through the process, not necessarily a doctor. There's plenty of doctor books out there about how the procedure works and what happens. I wanted to show what my particular experience was undergoing some of these medical procedures. So the first one I published was in 2017, and I called it part of my experience books. Why did I call it that? Because I wasn't planning or intended to give medical advice. And sure enough, as soon as I published it, Amazon came back to me and said that they rejected it because it was providing medical advice and I wasn't a doctor and so forth. Well, I told them to read the first two paragraphs, which was in large block letters, a disclaimer, which said this is not intended to be medical advice and you should consult medical professionals when making any decision, and so on and so on. They finally said, okay, you're right, we didn't read the first couple of paragraphs on the disclaimer, so you can publish it. So my experience book was about knees. I had 2 total knee replacements. And I wrote this book, and it was about 14 pages long. And I wrote it in June of 2017. And up until the present time, I've sold 9 books. Now this was a Kindle book, an e-book, not a paperback or a hardcover. And obviously it was only 14 pages. But I sold 9 books at $2.06 a book, and I made a grand total in 7 years of $18. The next book I wrote in my experience books was one on AFib. I had AFib, which I actually discovered, or was discovered, when I was having my knee surgery, before I had my knees replaced in the surgery. And the book was called AFib and the Cardiac Ablation Procedure, where they zap certain parts of your electrical system in your heart to prevent the AFib from coming back. This was 11 pages, and I published that in 2017, and from 2017 to today, I've got sold 37 books for a grand total of $76. So this book also was a Kindle ebook, and it sold for $2.99. Both of these books, the knees book and the AFib book, were $2.99 for the Kindle version. So I made $76 on that. The next one was cataract surgery I had. in February 2023. And I talked about what the procedure was like, what my reaction was, and I also had the corrective lenses put in at the same time, so I don't need glasses anymore. That book was 16 pages, and for the present, from February 2023 to today, which is a little over a year, in March of 2024, I've sold a grand total of 3 books. Again, this was an ebook, and I've made about $6. The next one I wrote was in August of 2019 on my enlarged prostate surgery that I had. It was 15 books, and this one was a little bit more popular. I sold 33 books for a total of about $66. So I did a few more books for a total of 7 or 8 books so far, up until that time. Meanwhile, I'm still scanning the videos for some reason on YouTube about a way to make millions of dollars selling on KDP. And at the time, everyone was pushing the low-content book path, such as adult coloring books, puzzle books, notebooks, and anything that was low content. You could spin them out very quickly and make a lot of money. I was not really interested in any of these, and I was skeptical about an adult coloring book, puzzle book, and so on. I think I was right to be skeptical because I found out that there's about 7,500 books published on Amazon each day. 7,500 a day. And there were thousands of low-content books out there. Some people were using AI to generate these books and uploading many books a day. And they only had slight changes to them. They had the AI make slight changes to the books and then upload them. As a result, last year, Amazon now limits you to uploading 3 books a day. So I really wasn't into the coloring book thing. And I thought about notebooks for a while, but notebooks were basically, low-content notebooks are basically lined paper with a cover on them and nothing else. So I'm thinking, why would you use this instead of a smartphone? I carry a smartphone in my upper pocket here when I have space for it. There's no way I would be able to fit a notebook in there as well. And why would I carry a notebook if I can do texting and typing on my smartphone? Why wouldn't I just put it on my smartphone and I got everything in one place and I don't have to worry about losing the notebook or trying to stuff it in another pocket with my smartphone? But being the eternal optimist, I thought I would try it anyway. This time I wrote a paperback book. It was a logbook and inventory record for model trains, which is one of my hobbies. It was 120 pages long. It sold for $6.99, which I was told online through a YouTube video, which is typical for a 6x9 paperback. $6.99, $7 is about the right price. And what it consisted of was identical pages with lines in there describing, the type of locomotive it was, the era it was built, and you filled in the blanks. All kinds of information, 1 page per locomotive or 1 page per car. And the idea was you could take this to a model train show and understand, not rebuy something you already had, because you know what you had, and you could buy something different or maybe a later model version of the same locomotive or car. So it was basically a low-content book. It had a stylized cartoon cover. I actually paid $5 to Fiverr to produce a cartoon cover, a cover for me. It was stylized, kind of cartoonish. And it sold a total of 0 books. So I then decided I didn't like the cover. So I used AI to help me design a cover. And after many attempts, I got a much more realistic cover for it. I modified it slightly. And then I put it back up on the market and put it on KDP. And then I sold 0 books again. So at this point, I took a break from KDP and producing YouTube videos on my various hobbies. And those hobbies are, or still are, model railroading, astronomy, ham radio, home automation, and gardening. So then, after producing a bunch of YouTube videos, I went back to KDP and thought about marketing and selling my books. I took the My Experience books on medical procedures, and I spent some money on Amazon marketing. I didn't spend a lot, between $10 and $30 for a campaign. And don't forget, these books, most of them were only $2.99. And the results I got was nothing. No real results at all that I could tell. Even though they had a lot of views and it was supposed to be, really out there and in the market, I didn't get any real results. So then the next thing I looked at on YouTube videos on how to produce a book on Amazon and KDP, they were claiming, use a niche market. Don't make it so general that there's many competitors out there. Make it a niche market. And I'm thinking, does this mean that if I write a book on the mating habits of a Siberian tsetse fly, people will go and flock to it and buy it? No. It's got to be a niche market that somebody's interested in and you know something about. So what I did was I decided on one of my hobbies, model railroading, was what I was going to focus on. And I was going to focus on a niche market on that. And in particular, lighting a model railroading layout. So scenery lighting specifically. I knew something about this topic because I have an extensive model railroad layout, and I thought people would be interested in it. My first version of this book was 30 pages long, and I got 2 reviews, and they weren't very good. The first review, the reviewer said, let's call this a pamphlet, not a book, because it really doesn't have a lot of information in it. My second reviewer, and she gave me 2 stars. Another reviewer gave me 3 stars and said, I guess it's okay for the price. I upped this to $3.99. So it wasn't exactly a ringing endorsement. So after my anger and disappointment dissipated after a few months, I started thinking about their comments, and I took them to heart. So what did I do then? Well, I killed that edition, completely took it off, blanked it out from my mind, and moved on. I rewrote another version of it, a 6x9 paperback, but this one was more extensive, and I expanded it gradually from the 30 pages to 78 pages, and then 94, and today it's 98 pages. I also raised the price from $7 to $9 to $11. At $11, my profit was about $3. So in the book, I put a do-it-yourself project for lighting, and I included many more details and chapters. I had to republish the book under a different title, which did a couple of things. Number one, it got rid of the negative reviews because it was a different book. Number two, of course, people had to become familiar with the new title. And so that could have been a problem. I also wanted this book to be kind of like the Bible for scenery lighting. So I had to really dig deep to find a lot more content to put in this book. I also tried to do an ebook on this, but it didn't work out. The graphics and symbols do not work well with the Kindle format. And I had some schematics, I had some custom graphics, and they just didn't play well with the Kindle format. So I kind of gave up on that idea. So next I had to think about marketing. I made a list of Facebook sites because Facebook was the first idea I had that came to mind. And the list of Facebook sites that were related to my topic numbered over 200. So these 200 Facebook sites I put into a spreadsheet and linked them to the particular site. And I'll show you that in a minute, along with some data. I also wondered if I could use YouTube to promote my new book. So what I did was I generated a YouTube video on one of the projects in the book. That project spanned about 3 or 4 chapters. And then I talked about the fact that the book had more details and a parts list, and I could provide a circuit board at a very modest cost. in order to drive people from the YouTube video to the book. And in the book also, I promoted the video and provided a link to my YouTube channel. So it's like the YouTube video was pushing people toward the book, and the book was pushing people toward the YouTube video. This seemed to work, and I'll show you some data again on this approach and how I did it. I also provided a dedicated email address where people could contact me for the availability of boards and ask questions. The book seemed to be fairly well received, but even though I was selling some books, I got very few reviews. I didn't ask specifically for reviews. I guess I felt a little burnt on the first edition of this book that came out, or what they were going to say. But I did get a bunch of folks commenting after a while that they really liked the book. And I asked them to leave me a review if they liked the book. Well, I knew they liked the book because they said it in the first place. So as a result, I now have 13 5-star reviews. And I think that was a good approach to take. So let's look at some of the data I got in terms of book sales and the spreadsheets that I set up and what's going on. I want to mention one other thing too, though. In these Facebook sites, they have a boilerplate type of rules, group rules. And many of them say no spam. Now, some of the Facebook sites that I used, when they say no spam, they mean if it's a Facebook site about radios, they don't want somebody selling sneakers. Or if it's a book about model railroading, they don't want to see a book about cleaning products. Okay? And so they mean no spam, but if you put something up there and it's related to the topic on the Facebook site, they're okay with it. Other Facebook sites, when they say no spam, they mean no spam. No links to YouTube, no links to Amazon, nothing of that. So it's kind of hard to figure that out. But what I've been doing is just putting it on there, and sometimes the admins will reject it because they consider that to be spam, or it's third party information that's not generated on the Facebook site. Other times most of the time they let it go if it's related to the site in model railroading. However, if it's a gardening site, they're much more restrictive, and I had a lot of trouble getting anything posted on Facebook in terms of a YouTube video or a book for KDP or anything like that. So it depends on the topic. It depends on the Facebook site, but they seem to be more lenient on some sites than others. So that's the caveat that I would say. They're the same way on Reddit too. So just keep that in mind. Okay, let's take a look at the data now. I wanted to show you 3 examples of the books that I have out there now. And the one I first talked about was the collection of train inventory. And that's what we have talked about as a low content book. Just pages of details that the user fills in or the reader fills in to specify what kind of equipment he has on his layout. The second book I would call a medium content book because it has garden tips and suggestions for maybe a dozen or 15 pages, maybe 20 pages, and the rest of them are fill-in blanks in journals of plants that you grow and various characteristics of the plants. Now, while I call that a medium content book, Amazon still calls it a low content book. And be aware that low content book and medium content books that they identify as low content, they don't show the reader what's inside. They don't give them a preview. And then this is the high content book that I have been talking about, the design guide. For every entry I put on a Facebook page, I put the fact that it's available on Amazon, the US Amazon site, because some people couldn't get it on their European sites and they had to go to the Amazon site in the US. And then a description of what the book is about and chapters, basically a table of contents. And I do that because a lot of times, even on the high content books like this, Amazon does not show a lot of detail of what's inside the book. In some cases, they show the front page, the front cover, and the back cover, and that's it. So I always include some information about that. Okay, this is the site I talked about, the Facebook site spreadsheet. I have a status here to let me know what's going on with the entry. If I find out that I've been kicked off or denied, I put that in here. The Facebook site, the actual link to that particular Facebook site. The book date. This is the date I put the book up on that particular site. And that's book 2 is to remind me that I don't want to make sure, these two fields make sure that I don't put something out within 3 or 4 months of each other. I wait 3 or 4 months before I post it again on the same site. I don't want to clog up the site. I don't want to be kicked off for overwhelming the site. So I make sure that the second entry is at least 3 or 4 months after the first. Then this is the site, this is the date of the video insertion on that particular site. Sometimes I'll only put a video posting on the Facebook site and not a book posting. But the video I've described to you has done pretty well. It's gotten 20,000 views in 8 months. So somebody's watching it, and hopefully it's pushing them toward the book sales, and vice versa. Okay, the next graph here is the data, and all from July 17th to the present, and you can see all the way up until May of 2023. All these little bumps here in the road of the data is basically the medical books I talked about, which I only pushed a little bit at the beginning of the posting or publishing, and not very much later. So this is where the bulk of the books have been sold, and we'll expand that in the next slide. Okay, this shows you the year of 2023, the calendar year. And the numbers above here are how many Facebook pages I posted on that month. So in July, I posted 4 Facebook pages. Then in October, I posted it on 24. And then November, I posted on 22. And on December, I posted 17. So there seems to be a correlation that the more Facebook pages I post this on, the more sales I get. And the bulk of the sales are this blue one, which is the latest version of the design guide. Yellow and red are previous versions. And the total I've sold in 2023 has been 14 ebooks, and that's mostly the medical books. It is the medical books. There is no ebook for the design guide. And then a total of print books, 151, or a total of 165 for both ebooks and paperbacks in 2023. Now, looking at 2024, I sold 58 books in January, and I posted on 40 Facebook pages. February, I posted on 29 Facebook pages, got 33 books sold. And in March, I posted on 9 Facebook pages so far, and I've sold 22 books so far. So of all the 10 books, I've sold only 10 ebooks, but I've sold 103 print books, and I've sold 105 total books, 103 paperback books. So I'm already ahead of schedule compared to 2023. So I'm doing pretty well here, I think. So again, this is my experience. This is what I have seen happen. It seems like there's a lot of correlation between posting it on Facebook, Reddit, and Instagram, which I do to a lesser extent, and the amount of sales I got. So in all fairness, though, I pushed this the most, this design guide, and the other books I have not pushed that much at all. When the sales come up, it's somebody happened to find them. Also, the other thing is that I found through Amazon's analysis that most of the book sales came from Amazon recommendations, not necessarily from keywords, but from Amazon recommending the book. As the book sold more, Amazon seems to have been recommending it more. The second, I think, most likely sale is from people browsing. So that's a good point to make. Also, how much time do I spend on this? Well,
this is time consuming. It's a lot of work, and I probably spend from breakfast time, after breakfast, until lunchtime every day promoting this book in one way or another, and or reading the email. And I get, as I've gotten more people commenting on it, I get better reviews because I ask them, if they like it, as I mentioned before, to review it, and they do. So that's all I have. I'd be interested to hear what your comments are, what your experiences are. This has been my experience. Let me know what you think of this. Put it in the comments. If you got any questions, I'll try to answer them. And I would hope that you found this useful. And if you did, please like and subscribe. And also, I just want to thank you for watching. And I'll see you in the next video.